We all want to have a happy life individually and also as a group. And the group can be family, your community, in the company, even the whole nation, or whole continent, or whole human being, even more. May all beings be happy. That's what we talked about in Vipassana meditation. This story that I want to share is started from my days at Stanford. I was in a business school, and I wrote a paper, a little note, but it didn't get published because of the timing. And the idea was about how to think about the happiness and relating to business, because I was in the business school. And the first year, we learned a concept of discount cash flow analysis, coming up with certain present value of money so that you can make a good judgment whether this is a good one investment or the other one is a good one. And the idea, without going into the detail and the equation, is fairly straightforward. There's a rate of money, the interest rate of money, and if you have a year-to-year income or the profit generated from the investment, over time, how can we discount back to the current net present value? And if we can do that, you can compare different investment idea. One may be a long-term investment and discount back because long-term future, you may want to accumulate more profit over time. So you compare that to the short-term investment. So this idea of coming up with a good judgment, the rational way of making investment. And then I thought about the same idea should apply to cash flow is the one that I was talking about. In terms of happiness, I thought there could be a subjective value of the happiness. And the happiness may be generated this year so much and the next year so much and so forth. And it could be 20 years down the road. For example, you are guaranteed to get married this person 20 years down the road. Compared to the 3 years down the road, there's another person, just a hypothetical case, which is better. For those you waiting, you want to have a much higher value. So that's the same idea of present value in this case of the happiness to make a judgment. So I wrote that in my note at Stanford. And that was about 40 years ago, 42 years ago, a long time ago. And going through my life, but have that idea on one hand. But I was into management consulting and strategy, organizational changes. And in that case too, I start to think about how can I have my contribution, not just for the money, but for the people. So when I introduced the idea of the mini company, which is everyone in the organization, whether at the top management or middle management or shop floor, everybody can be seen as the president of the area of responsibility, and therefore he can make a judgment of how to make the best investment, to do this work or to that work for this customer, for the other customer. So how can we maximize the benefit of the mini company? And if each mini company within the organization is run by the mini company president, like a self-motivating, self-managing idea of his area, and prove that in his annual report. He run the business, so he meet the people and go through the KPI, key performance indicators, which is good and bad, red and green, and what project can produce more happiness or satisfaction for the customer and so forth. So coming back to the making judgment, he can produce some idea with this idea of not to the degree of the detailed financial analysis, but in the same sense, net value creation of the present value, and which is better or worse. And if he can manage his mini company and produce the business plan with the bankers and prove if it works or not, instead of being told what to do, he learned how to manage. And the whole idea of the management is not just for the money, but involving people, help them share the view and discuss idea with some kind of a formula or the chart. Quality, cost, delivery, safety, morale, some KPI, the mission, and the plan develop, executed, check the result, analyze, come up with a new plan. So keep the lessons learning and producing more into the future, and even to the degree of developing an annual report. So every mini company produces annual report, and the bankers can look at it. And those chart, mission, who are the customer suppliers, KPIs, plan of action, red and green, how they are doing, what's the impact of the KPI. So that's the managerial framework I mentioned in the book called Shop Floor Management, New Shop Floor Management, and the result from the heart. Result from the heart has a connection of the heart with the brain. So motivation, happiness of people working as a group to produce the result and to share the result. Have an annual report, talk with bankers, visit customers, learn with each other, so that it's not the top-down kind of a management, but also people are involved, empowered, and to develop the skill to manage his mini company. So I did that kind of a job for 40 years or so as a consulting business I had. Also in the private equity company, I did work in the principal too. So the idea is business, but the idea can be also applied for each individual managing his life. So one day I came up with the idea of the life profile, which you can find in my video, somewhere you can check from the searching my channel. This idea of the life profile is to have your personal mission in life, have a KPI, and the KPI, key performance indicator, in this case maybe be sincere and truthful to yourself to live. That's one. That's I put for myself. And then there may be categories like work, hobby, relationship, health, finance. Those ideas. There are 6 of them that I did, which I produced after my awakening experience I had in the year 2000. And I kept doing up to this now, 20 some years continuing to manage what are the KPI, what's the red and green, how successful I am, and what is the plan of action to do so that I can satisfy but be sincere and truthful in what I do with some measurement. I'm not going to go into detail, but that's another video that I share. So I have done it, and I believe that is the same idea of the mini company, but I call it the mini-me. So in the company or organization's case, it's a mini company, mini company, and so forth. Within myself, there's at the higher level of making judgment, looking at all the KPI and figuring out what the project and what you want to do. Also relationship, for example, you may have a partner relationship, a family relationship, a community relationship. You can come up with any idea, but you can develop those KPI, key performance indicators, and have a plan of action. And in my case, every 3 months or so, I review that. And I feel fairly confident that it worked. I don't know why I developed that, but probably related to my awakening experience. And that's something I can talk a little bit. When you have awakening experience, the way I see it, this is connected to the result from the heart. That's the book I was talking about, the third book I mentioned. it's not just the brain, but you have heart to be connected to the brain. So that's the connection I was talking about. Be sincere and truthful. So that's the most important measurement. But you can category, broken down to work and hobby and relationship and so forth as a subset of it. But all together, driven by heart connected to the brain, and monitor how you're doing. And even have the summary of the every 3 months or so, or every year if you want to, you can capture like annual report and produce. So compared to the mini company in the organization, this is mini me and mini me. Then there may be an egoistic mini company or mini me, or it may be more truthful. And so they may bounce around the idea, I want to do this. No, you shouldn't do it because you can get more benefit for more people, and why don't we do this? So you have to solve that equation as a general manager to figure out how to do. So this discount cash flow analysis kind of idea is there too, because what is the happiness value in the next 2 years or 5 years or 20 years? I'm 75. So my discounted rate on my happiness gets much more expensive because I cannot plan 30 years down the road to have happiness if I'm not here. But wait, you can still have it because I don't get the benefit, but if the society gets the benefit, that could be a great business plan. I may be just happy that I'm contributing for that purpose. So that's the idea of the happiness, finance, but some rationality to look at how we operate, self-managing, because the world is changing, and the target may change, your mission may change. So let me touch on the mission. Mission in Japanese is tenmei, order from heaven. So it's not just personal, it's something more profound, if I may say that. So that tenmei, how do we get the tenmei? Because if we have the tenmei of the mission of life and align to that, what we really like to do, and if that helps the society, that mission must be very profitable, very beneficial for me, as well as for the society or the customers, families, organizations, whatever you want to define as the customer. So the idea of the tenmei and how to achieve that or come up with that is this kind of process. I put this on the video too. Maybe under the title tenmei, you may be able to find out. There are certain steps to go through it. Matsushita Konosuke said the key in living life is have a strong passion. And I agree. Whatever the passion is, it's the source of energy coming up from ground level of who you are, from the heart. You have the energy. You inherited this opportunity to be on the earth from the dust of the universe configured in some way or the other, and all the ancestors working up and down, suffering this and happy to find the fire, and the fire get extinguished, and they got suffered and cold, and some died. All that process brought us to be here. So we want to give some gift for the future. So where we are is to figure out the tenmei, and the way is to have the sense of truthfulness and sincerity and passion. What I said to my son when he was 17 years old was, do what you really like to do, and if that helps the society, that's the way to go. That's the last advice for him, because I thought he was very independent and explore his life, and I felt like I was a broken record guy talking to him. So that was the end of my advice to him, and he's doing quite well. In my view, we never know what's going to happen. But that's the idea of the passion, and then you therefore challenge all the obstacles. If you have a bad habit, you want to change it, or you learn new skills. You may go through some pain, but keep on challenging. You may be defeated and you're suffering, but you have to learn. That's life. So passion, challenge, and if everything's going well, that's okay. But usually that's not like that because of the impermanence. Things can happen within yourself or externally. So I say passion, challenge, go beyond the conventional belief or conventional wisdom. Not just playing up here on the shallow level of the mind and quickly decide or something. So your discounted happiness equation is more biased by the ego or rushing process. So you won't have a calm and quiet mind. And then you can go down deep, kind of like an AI, deep learning. You have accumulated experience within yourself. And if your mind is calm and quiet, that's what I found from Vipassana. Spending 10 days in the mountain, 11, 12 hours every day of sitting, focus on breathing or inner body sensation, and mind become clear, pure, sensitive to know what's going within. So it's not at the shallow level. That's why I say it like a deep learning. You have accumulated database within us if we can reach out. And for that purpose, we have to have that calm and quiet mind. And then you find this beyond the conventional wisdom. When that is found, that may be awakening moment, or that insight is wisdom or compassion. Passion, challenge, beyond the conventional wisdom, satoryo, enlightenment, awakening, insight, wisdom, compassion. Then that's the way you go back and forth, back and forth. And over time, you may start to find, okay, this may be my temme. This is the direction I want to do. Then that's the fifth item. And once you align to work together to all of those processes, then that may bring out, or that is bringing out happiness. So not necessarily the end result, but the process is by itself, it's a result for you to be happy in what you do. Because when you achieve something, what do you do next? Go back to the life's mission, if you have one. And if there's a huge audience, like the ancestors brought the fire and iron and IT or whatever, algorithm, math, to come here, we want to bring that forward to our next generation. So that's the equation of temme idea and going through the process, combined with those cash flow idea or maximizing the happiness, not just my own, but others, and then orchestrate this process within myself. So within myself, just to make sure that I'm communicating. As much as in the organization there's department and unit. Often they speak a different language. Human resources, R&D, sales, marketing, operations, accounting. They speak different language. There's a barrier in between, but they don't communicate easily if they're not customer oriented and suppliers not looking at the customer. And that happens. Actually, one of the companies in Spain, when I introduced, and actually later they got the, European Quality Prize in 1992 or so. Ubisa is the name of the company. And the funny thing is that mini company idea was introduced there. The accounting guy developed this customer-supplier linkage chart. These are the customer arrow going this way, and this, and this is the suppliers. But when I visited his department, the chart, it's all the arrows going into him in this department. Nothing's coming up. Maybe there was one going up to the top management. I don't recall that. So that is showing this glass wall idea of comprehensiveness of business that even the stranger can understand. That's the glass wall, not the brick wall. And that should be operated and functioning in the organization. And that's how they got the quality award in Europe. And the other companies I worked with the Deming Award companies in Japan, or helping them. and so forth. So that's the organization, but that situation of the mini company is within me, as mini-me. Mini-me is concerned about the relationship, the marriage, or the kids, community, or the health, or finance issue, the work, and hobby may be different, but work and hobby can be connected, or one, too. So all these departments within myself may need to be synthesized and looked at in the whole picture. That's the life profile idea, and that is making the management process, living process easy to understand for myself. So I have this 22, 23 years of the chart and the numbers and what I did. And it's like a sailboat going this way and adjusting the direction, exploring, make mistake, learn the lesson, and move forward toward achieving your tenme. Now, since I talked about it, let me see what is my tenme. I think I said it somewhere in my video too. To be truthful and sincere is the base of everything. And if that helps the society, I feel good about it. And whatever the way I can do that is my business plan. So my YouTube video, there are many of them, are in principle reflecting to those tenme. Be sincere, truthful, and may all beings be happy. Of course, things change. I suffer, and you learn the lesson. When I suffer, put the glass wall, or I use the word of the, what's the word? Mirror mind. There's another video I've talked about. There's one entity in the mind. It's like a two universe. Mind universe and the heart universe, or heart and body connected. And the heart and body is like a Garden of Eden situation. But once we ate the fruit of knowledge, our minds start to function. And for the sake of themselves or myself, ego may start to take over. Now forget about the heart. If that happens, mind is busy and he suffers and he doesn't know what to do. He may feel, or I may feel in the mind, but his mind is connected to the body, and body and the stomach may suffer and develop cancer. You never know what's going to happen, but that's the whole organistic view of the world. So it's the same as in the organization, the company or nation, top management. They think the world is like this and make decisions without incorporating all the people's ideas. It's not going to work. So the AI, again, just side tripping here, is AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, like that we see this ChatGPT and stuff like that, is to accumulate huge database of human knowledge, like collecting the wisdom, and for us to work with them, like me here and the mini company. There's another, what's the word? Me in the sense of AI space of the humanity, and the mini AI or the source of data down below, and like a deep learning and the glasswall management to synthesize the idea, come up with the idea. AI would do the same thing. So we may live in that space, and AI can help us, and that's the relationship of a co-pilot situation that can happen between us managing, coming up with wisdom and compassion to work on our passion, tenme, happiness for ourselves and for others. And AI may be able to communicate and link up. There's a huge danger of AI abused, of course. I have a video I mentioned about the dragon is out of the cage. If the source code is stolen by some person who is top down and some crazy egocentric or authoritative idea of this is the way to live and everybody has to listen to me. You may want to spend $1 billion still or buy someone to get the source code and put that in place so that the missile may fly. I'm concerned about it, but possibly this kind of discussion may educate us and communication made possible so that we can work together and move forward. I don't know my English is good enough, but I hope that some of the idea may be shared. Right now we have lots of stuff going on, even the potential war, or the war is already happening, or the war in the sense of economic war, and all various versions of the war. And if we again to narrowly focus in our mind without connection within ourselves and others, that's a sad case. And I hope we can educate us, learn with each other, help each other, and have the mission hopefully align for the best. So may all beings be happy. Thank you.